Time to update you on my progress with Grandma's Kitchen, Pat Sloan's Block Wednesday Sew Along. I'm still a little bit behind, but I've made a few more blocks, so I'm gradually catching up. I've got the blocks that I've completed up here on the wall, and I'm very happy with how it's going. So these are the blocks that I've made over the last week or so. First one is Sunday dinner. And I've fussy cut the flower there in the blue and white, and I like this block so much that I decided to make a second one. I make a few extras because I've got a queen size bed to cover, and I want to cover the whole bed, so I make a few extras as I go along. And I think this is probably my favorite block that I've made so far in this pattern. Look at that. And it actually reminds me of the old blue and white china that people used to have. So I fussy cut those 4 squares with that blue flower. And yeah, I just love it. I actually think this is a block that I would make again. I could see a whole quilt made in this, would be really beautiful. So that's my favorite one so far. Sunday dinner. And Sunday dinner at my grandma's place, and Sunday lunch actually, would always be a roast dinner. So roast chicken, roast beef, roast lamb with baked vegetables, gravy, dessert pudding was always the big meal of the week. And Monday night was either cottage pie or shepherd's pie if you had, lamb or beef the day before. So yeah, Sunday dinners are special. She made the best baked potatoes I've ever had. Now, block 14 is salt and pepper shakers. And I changed this block a little bit and with the center. So I kind of put a pinwheel in the center of it. And that blue and white spot there, that was just a scrap. I haven't got much of that left. And yeah, if you're new here, welcome, first of all. But my grandma's, I always think of her as wearing blue and wearing florals. So, and my favorite color, I love yellow. And I like the combination of blue and yellow. So for this quilt, went through and chose lots of florals in yellow and blue, either scraps or fat quarters. And this is I'll just check the name of it. Oh, Game Shows and Soaps. This was this week's block. I think I've still got 2 to make, and that's got that little floral in it that my daughter gave me for Christmas, a Liberty. I remember my grandma loved soaps. I spent quite a lot of time with her, almost all the holidays and some time extra. And after lunch during the week, we would go in and sit down and watch General Hospital and Days of Our Lives. And I can remember watching Doug and Julie and, all around that time. And that was the time she would get her mending basket, she would get her knitting or her sewing or a crochet, and she would sit in a chair. She had a white chair, well, off-white, and there was a little blue children's chair, and I would sit on that. And that was the time of day when she would teach me to sew, to knit, to crochet. So while she'd be doing hers, she'd be teaching me mine. And once she'd done a bit of sewing, knitting, crocheting, then it was time to peel the vegetables for tea. So by the time General Hospital and Days of Our Lives were done, all the veggies were peeled for tea, and we'd done some sewing or knitting or crochet. So a lot of happy memories there for me of time with my grandma. So one thing with this block is where you have, at these points, and you have 6 pieces of fabric all joining. And it does create a fair lump to try and get over when you're going to be quilting that. So what I did was just those 2 seams going down, that one and that one, I pressed them open just to kind of flatten it out a little bit more so there'll be less of a lump when I'm quilting it. But yeah, that's my update on Grandma's Kitchen. It's going well. You can see here all my other blocks. If you're making it, tell me what colours you're using. I'd love to know how it's going for you. I'll see you next week.